Hey everybody, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. Lindsey and I are back for more Survivor 50 preseason coverage, and we're here with another one of Lindsey's Survivor Vanquish Season 15 castmates, Bobby. Bobby, welcome to the Tribe of Nerds.
Hey, what's up, y'all? What's up, Lindsey?
What's up?
Long time.
Yeah, it's exciting to have you here, Bobby. So what we're going to talk about today is Survivor 50 preseason reputations. So going in, all 24 of these players that are coming back have a reputation. Maybe it's a not so good reputation. Maybe they're really well liked from their past seasons. So we're going to talk about that. But first, what do you guys think about some of these players' reputations in general? Bobby, you can go first.
I think, to me, it's interesting because I was kind of looking at the breakdown of, and who you consider to be like an OG versus mid-era, new era. I guess is somewhat subjective, but it seems like half the cast is from the last 10 seasons, and then so if you take the other half, they're from the first 39 seasons, and it's really spread out. So that's going to kind of be interesting, and it just right off the bat makes me wonder if the new era players are going to all try to stick together to get rid of, like you have like Ozzy, Cirie, Colby, people like that have these huge reputations, that everybody knows, coach, like everybody knows who they are, how they play the game, and, versus some of the new era players. And the other thing is too, the only 3 returning winners in this game are all from like past 5 seasons. So right. I think it's just gonna be really interesting how, who aligns with each other and how that all plays out.
Yeah, I find it fascinating how, from the past 5 seasons, most of the new era representatives are from 45 through 49. Like, Jonathan Yon is the only one from, the very beginning of the new era. So, and then, obviously, we have no representation from the 20s, which is ridiculous, in my opinion. Yeah. So, but, yeah, it's very, very interesting. Lindsey, what about you?
Yeah, so I'm going to be really curious to watch everyone that's playing for second time or even a third time plus, because they've already learned how to adapt their reputations into a new game when most of our casts this is their second time playing. So I'm just be really curious to see the people that have had multiple reputations versus multiple games to see how they adjust versus our new era and some of our 30 players that they've only played once. So they're going in with only this one reputation, never adapting before. And we'll see how that interferes with their gameplay.
Well, and it's interesting to think about, too, because some of those one-time players, I think their one reputation is not going to be so positive. And then compared to the multi-time players where I think their reputation is going to be way more positive. So people are already wanting to work with certain old schoolers, as we'll kind of get to. So we're going to go chronologically, as we said. So we'll start at season 1, go all the way to season 49. So let's start with Jenna Lewis from Borneo and All-Stars. Jenna came back to All-Stars after being in the minority Pagan tribe at the merge in Borneo, and then ended up basically targeting all the winners. I think that's her biggest reputation going in, is that she got rid of Tina. She was aiming for every single winner in the game. How is that going to impact 50 when you have 3 winners and one is going to be on her tribe?
You go ahead, Lindsey.
I'm worried about the winner on her tribe. We watched her on All Stars, and as we've kind of discussed on the podcast or offhand, that I think All Stars Jenna really as a player as we got to see her. She did not know what was going on, like most people the first season of Survivor. She came in with a game plan, getting rid of people who already won on season 8. I'm curious with all these seasons and years later, if that's still going to be her strategy. But if I was the winner on her season, I would be very, very nervous myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jenna needs to be careful with that kind of strategy going in this time. Bobby?
I was going to say, I just think the game is so different now than when she played. Because you think about like early Survivor, it was, to me, almost all about like relationships. That like the social element, you know what I mean? Like that was all about relationships, and it's just so different now. And I think like if you look at her tribe, if they have to go to tribal early, I wouldn't be surprised if she's not the first one booted from their tribe. Because you have guys like Cirie's not going to be a first boot. I think guys like Ozzy and Joe are going to stick together because they're so challenge beasts. Rick adds a lot to the tribe. Savannah, the most recent winner, and she's, really great player. So I think Jenna, if they happen to go to tribal early, she's going to be the one that I think is going to be in trouble almost from day one.
I agree, which I don't want to see that because it's Jenna Lewis back finally. But whenever that tribe goes to tribal, I think Emily and Savannah and Jenna are going to have a little bit of a girl fight there because almost everybody else seems very safe in their positions on the tribe.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I was impressed by Jenna's pre-season press of like how she thinks of the game and how she was talking about her past seasons of like, Borneo, she was edited to be really nice, and then all of a sudden All Stars she gets this like, I guess, villain edit of targeting the winners and everything. And then she's talking about the game and she's like, in Borneo, no, I was like that in Borneo. They just didn't show it. So I think it's really, really fascinating hearing what Jen has to say. But I do think she's probably in trouble if that tribe goes, because I definitely see people like Joe and Ozzy kind of dictating things. And I think Cirie in this case might be smart enough to like kind of just go with that in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think Cirie and Ozzy are going to be in a lot of trouble, I would think, mid-game, because I don't think anybody wants, if you let Cirie get too deep in the game, she's going to be so embedded socially that it's going to be hard to get rid of her. And you let Ozzy get too deep into the game, he's the type of guy that can win out. And so I think they'll be good early in the game, and they're both also, this is going to be their fifth time playing. So those are the two that I think everybody's going to have them on their radar early, and they're going to, rather than waiting later, they'll probably strike early if they have the chance.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get to them shortly. Let's move on to the cowboy with a heart of gold. Let's move on to Colby Donaldson from season 2, season 8, and season 20, Australia, All-Stars and Heroes versus Villains. And I think Colby's reputation coming in this time is going to be that last time he sucked really badly. He was Superman in a fat suit, as James referred to him as. I think that he's probably going to have that reputation going in here, and that he has a lot more to prove. So I'm actually really excited to see Colby again, because I did feel Heroes versus Villains, watching it from when I was a kid, was just his performance was very disappointing in such a great season.
Yeah, he's a great player. And I'm just, I would say he's probably like the original comp beast, and so it's just going to be interesting to see how well he will do, like, in the physical challenges and things like that. And if I think that's probably, because if you look at their tribe, him and Stephenie, but he's the only one from seasons 1 through 9. And so I think if he can provide value, they have Q, they have Kyle, but if he can provide value early in the comps, then I think that keeps him in longer, at least before a swap. And your guy Riz God might be in trouble if they go to tribal early.
I hope not. We'll get to Riz God more later. But yeah, Lindsey, your thoughts on Colby?
Colby, Bobby and I are your fellow Texans from Fort Worth and Dallas, so we're cheering for you, just so you know. I hope you see this. Hi. Texas forever. Okay, Colby, this game is make or break for you, and I want it to be make for you so badly. I want to see the OG challenge beast back. I want to see Colby from the Outback, and I know you have it in you, and I think it's going to be hard to adapt to new game because he's going from his first game in Australia being the longest of the U.S. Survivor ever to now
42 days, yeah,
to 26 days. So you had to sum it all into once. Like, it's half the time. I'm just hoping that Colby can bring it out. Like the All-American, Real Boy, Cowboy, people named their kids after him when the season came out. Like, I want to see that Colby.
No, and Lindsey, you just made me think of something that I think is going to be interesting too, in that, like, the new game is so short that I hope that the old school players that are used to that long game realize that it go like today, they're at Final Tribal faster than, they're at Merge before. And so I hope they realize that the game, like, you have to play from day one. Like, you don't have, 2 weeks to build relationships because the game's over. So that's just something for guys like Colby that I hope that he realizes that you got to play fast from day one, but the right kind of fast.
Yeah. And I think it's something that benefited Colby in Australia was not only how long the game was, but also like the fact he was like the physically strongest on his tribe back then. And they really needed him or they were out of luck because they were already losing a bunch. So I think that benefited him. And then the other 2 times he was just All-Stars, he was just seen as a threat immediately that they didn't want to deal with. And then Heroes versus Villains, you know, I think he was just kept around as a number. So
yeah, no doubt.
All right. So then we of course go to Palau and we go to Stephenie LaGrossa, played then in Guatemala and had a short run in Heroes versus Villains. I think Stephenie's run is always going to be from her time in Palau. Like I think even Heroes versus Villains, they really didn't care about Guatemala. Like they just were like, oh yeah, she's from Palau. And you know, because I think, you know, everybody saw Stephenie's Palau game as like the hero, like she's the last remaining of her tribe. And then Guatemala, she had more of like a villainous turn. And then Heroes versus Villains, like she gets targeted because of her Palau game, oddly enough. Like James is the one being like, oh yeah, she was the last one left of her original tribe. And she's like the kryptonite. Funny that James kept making Superman references, but yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on Stephenie's reputation?
I think she's a great competitor. And I think, again, she's a player where I think if she can kind of hold up to that part of her reputation, that keeps her in the game longer if Vatu goes to tribal early, because again, there's other players on their tribe that are not going to be as good in challenges and things. So I think that provides value for her. But you know, so I think there's a certain level of respect that she'll have, but then I think there's also, she's going to kind of be under a spotlight as well. But yeah, and then too, it just depends. The thing with edits, like, you know, they edit somebody to be a villain. I was talking to a very well-known Survivor player from before, and we were talking about this, and she was she was blown away by, when she saw the season, how the edits made her look like a villain, because she thought that she was like, I mean, a hero in her mind. So, you know, like I'm always cautious about that. Like, is this player really a villain to the level that we think, you know? But who knows? But she is a great competitor.
Yeah, absolutely. Lindsey?
100%. I'm actually feeling really good about Stephenie's reputation and her tribe for her. Like, I agree. She's an asset to the tribe that she's on. She was a physical asset on her previous seasons already. She is still there. She's a really she's a strong mama. Like, she takes care of her kids. She has not lost any of her physical, all the things. Like, she's ready to play Survivor. And her tribe, I think where she's at, can see that. And she's an asset. And we remember her, like, she was the last one on her season in Palau for a reason. People wanted her around. And given the tribe that she's on, going on 50, I think that reputation and that mindset is going to stick.
Yeah, I think I agree completely with that. I think this tribe will definitely like have more reverence for Stephenie, and I think they still will think of her Palau game. To the edit, I do think a reason why Stephenie I guess got that edit is to like make sense of why she lost to Danny in that season. They had to figure out how to show that because Stephenie was like such a dominant player. So yeah, I think that's probably it. But I have high hopes for Stephenie going far this time. So
I think so. I just realized this after the fact, but this is my Colby Donaldson Easter egg, the Texas flag.
Oh, that's cool.
Right, yeah. That's one of my youngest son's college baseball jerseys from his first year. But yeah, I was like, I wish I should have said something when we're talking about Colby. Anyway.
That's awesome for your son and for Colby.
Yeah.
Flag. I don't think I have one in here.
100%. All right. Well, we already talked about her briefly, but let's talk about Cirie Fields, reality TV legend. I think that's going to be her reputation, is that everybody knows how good Cirie is at these games. And like the only time she's ever gone early is Heroes versus Villains because she got idled out of the game and flipped on by JT. Like that's the only time she's ever gone out early in a show. And like, I'm sure she's going to go far again. Like I'd be shocked if Cirie is an early boot this time.
Yeah. What do you think?
Is she the greatest player to never win?
I think it's between her and Rob Cisternino, and so like I would give the edge to Cirie though. I mean, she's dominated so many games.
I would say she's definitely the greatest social player to never win.
Yeah.
That I would say. I think for the people that well, like her and Ozzy have played together. Is there anybody else on her tribe? Don't think anybody else that she's played with on her tribe, but her and Ozzy have played together. And that's, like I said, I think they're gonna have the biggest targets. And I know we're about to talk about Ozzy too, but Cirie, I think the people that feel like they're with her, then they're going to be with her. And so I think, and I don't know, maybe because of the fact, I think people might see her as somebody that, yeah, she's a good player. She's super social. She makes it deep every time, but she's not going to win. And so maybe that might, you know what I mean? But that might downplay her threat level to some people. They may, if they feel like they're together, keep her in, I wouldn't be surprised if Cirie at least makes it to final 5.
Yeah, I feel like that's like a no-brainer. Like, I feel like when you see Cirie return for a game, you're just kind of thinking that she's gonna make it to that finale or the final weeks of the show. I do think people are gonna be starstruck by her, like they always seem to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lindsey, your thoughts on Cirie?
Of any player on this cast, Cirie is the person that I feel most starstruck with. So yes, absolutely agree there. Like, I don't think I have it in my heart to vote her out or to not work with her. She's that good. Like, her reputation exceeds her not just in Survivor, but on Big Brother, Snake and Grass, Traders, any game she plays. And still, she's that good socially. Everybody wants to work with her. So I don't see how she doesn't go far. And I could see 1 or 2 people sacrificing their reputations their game to help her get her reputation again.
Yeah, I mean, we had Australia versus the world. You had Lisa, who was a winner of a version of Survivor that literally was like, throwing her game away just so Cirie could try to win. Like,
yeah,
that was insane to me. All right, so that's Cirie. Now we go to Jungle Boy Ozzy, and Ozzy came so close his first time to winning, and then it seems every other time. I mean, he came close to winning South Pacific as well, a challenge win away from there. But it seems like his reputation is that he's probably likely to be an early merge boot on most seasons now, because nobody's gonna let him like get that close to winning challenges to the end. What are your thoughts on Ozzy?
I agree. We were talking about like Jenna maybe being an early boot on the Sela tribe. I could also see if they sense like a swap coming soon and they had the opportunity to even get rid of Ozzy then, I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't like an early big move. It wouldn't surprise me if that happened. It would just have, the timing would have to be right. But I'm with you. I think because he is such, an incredible, he's, to me, probably the ultimate challenge beast of Survivor all time. And this isn't a game with a bunch of newbies. So the value that he had, going out and catching fish and all that stuff, like, big deal. You know what I mean? Like, they don't care. And the game's not even that long anymore. So, you can get by. But it's going to be interesting to see, because he is not like, I like Ozzy. He's my wife's favorite player of all time. But he's not, to me, he's kind of socially awkward in a lot of ways. And so, he's not going to have that social capital that I think can carry him necessarily in a swap or merge.
Yeah, well, and Ozzy, another thing is, like, if he gets blindsided, if he's left out of a vote, he goes and pouts about it. He's done it in both of his seasons in both Cook Islands and South Pacific. He lost an ally and then he went and sulked about it. Like, I definitely think he's probably going to have that again if they don't take the shot at him, but if they take a shot at an ally, that's probably what we're gonna see him do. I don't know. I feel like Ozzy will be kept around, but also, again, like you said, Bobby, I mean, Game Changers, he went in and thought he could just catch fish again and literally survive. And when he gets voted out second merge boot again, he's like, good luck catching fish. It's like, Ozzy, that's not what the game is about.
Yeah,
So.
100%. Like, if I'm on a starting tribe with Ozzy, I want him there 100%. I want him to be my ally. I kind of want to make the strategic moves, and hopefully he goes along with me and he can win all the challenges. He's perfect. He's the best tribe mate. But Bobby, you mentioned it when it comes to a swap, or Jake, like you said, the early emerge. If he's gonna get mad about a decision or flip to someone else, I don't want him there. His reputation doesn't make me want to work with him when he gets to that level of
And I think too, it also just depends on who's still in the game during those milestones, to whether he can kind of blend if possible. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if Jonathan and Joe are still there and he's working with both of them, then there's a possibility Ozzy can like blend in. But
or Q.
Yeah,
maybe even Devens might be a fun distraction for him. There's a lot of people, depending on who's there, that he could figure out a game plan with.
Yeah.
Right. For sure. All right, let's move on to the Dragon Slayer, Coach Benjamin Wade. We love Coach, and I have high hopes for Coach because it seems his reputation is that everybody loves his personality, loves him as a character, even though like he ran a cult effectively in South Pacific. I think a lot of people from the preseason interviews are saying, I want to work with Coach. Coach is doing some really fun things in the preseason, like love his personality. And I think this is the most self-aware Coach we've gotten in the preseason interviews that I've seen.
Yeah. This is my only concern with Coach is how much he plays up to the Coach persona and whether that causes people, especially like I would bet money that not everybody in this game from the new era has even seen season 18, season 20, season 23. So, it just makes if my only concern would be whether people think he's being insincere or not. That's going to be to me kind of the fine line that he's going to have to walk between being the personality, but people not taking it as he's being insincere and they can't trust him.
Yes, absolutely. To balance the character and the Dragon Slayer, that's the game player first, like the Dragon Slayer character. And I have high hopes Coach can do both, but if he can't, I don't see it going well for him. But I think he's learned from South Pacific. I hope we see that.
Yeah, I'm interested how his relationship with Ozzy is going to affect things. It's like the same thing with Stephenie and Cirie, but I think this is the more extreme thing because Ozzy and Coach were not on good terms at the end of South Pacific. I believe they both addressed it in their preseason press of like Coach basically said Ozzy poisoned that jury against him, and like I don't know, I just don't know how they're gonna interact or even like work together in any way.
It's going to be interesting. I think they're smart enough though to realize that old school players are definitely outnumbered by new school, and so they need to let the past be the past and just focus on this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Coach also kind of knows what the super fans and the casual fans want. And as fun as Winners at War was, we saw like new era, like do well, old school go fast. And I think Coach is aware of that. So he might be trying to work with the old school players just to bring it to the fans. Like he's very connected with the fans. So I'm hoping we see a bit of that.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we're skipping the 20s and going right to the 30s as we talk about Aubry Bracco, 3-time Survivor player from Coron, Game Changers, and Edge of Extinction. For me, I think Aubry's reputation, I think her threat level is way down after Edge of Extinction. Like, I don't think anybody's coming in and being like, we got to target Aubry besides maybe Q, because Q is probably going to have that vendetta from 46 of like, some of these women look like Aubry, remind me of Aubry, so now he's actually out there with Aubry. But I think Q's gonna have a bigger target on his back because he said that than Aubry is gonna have from other people. So what are your guys' thoughts?
They're on the same tribe. They're on the same tribe, ironically enough.
I love that. In production.
Yeah, I think for her, because I think she's definitely like a deep thinker and a strategist. I just think for her, like the key again, like if they go to tribal early, Vatu, I think for her, she's gonna have to just make sure that she's really like leaning into that social element of it, so it doesn't seem like she's like calculating or anything. So I think she can be more social early on. I think that helps her make it further in the game.
Yes, absolutely. I'm hoping we're getting a little bit like Kelly Wentworth when she played Second Chances, or Tony when he played Winners at War. They had disastrous last seasons. Not that Aubry was disastrous. It was just her worst run to date. And I think with the big personalities on her tribe and her last appearance being not her best, if she makes a social game, as you said, Bobby, and blends in, she could go far. She could do well. Like, she's a smart cookie. She knows how to play this game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, and like, you know, last time was with new players, and she did play an all-star season before and still did pretty well despite, you know, being on the bottom of a lot of things. And now I feel like she's had the experiences of being on the bottom. I think, again, because her threat level is so low, I think she's going to be able to get in there. And I see Aubry going deep again, and probably having more to do with the game. So
For sure.
All right, from season 35, moving on to the runner-up of that season, one of the best women to be a challenge beast in the history of the game, Chrissy Hofbeck. And Chrissy, I think, is going to be interesting because she's one of the few players who's never played with anybody. And I think she's also going to be underestimated, being the older woman, and people aren't going to see her as being as confident in the challenges, even though they should be wrong, because again, she is really good at a lot of these challenges. So I'm excited to see Chrissy, and I know a lot of people have thought that she was maybe robbed in HHH by the fire making twist. So
yeah, I think she's like on her tribe. I think she's definitely going to be one of the better challenge competitors, which again provides value. You've seen it, you know, even in recent seasons, like for older women, older players in general. Like if they can hold their own in challenges, they tend to stay in the game for a while because people love them, they trust them, they remind them of, you know, mom, grandma, whoever. So in the fact that she hasn't played with anybody, that I think that works to her advantage. So if she plays it right, because she's definitely, you know, very like a very competitive kind of strategist, and then she's a challenge threat. So I mean, if she just kind of again lays low, you know, just finds that right balance of people seeing her as an asset, but she's not out there like, you know, in the mix of everything, I think she can kind of fly under the radar really deep into the game.
Yeah, 100%. To me, Chrissy is one of the most balanced players out on this cast. She's never played with anybody, as you guys already mentioned. She's good at everything, and looking at her tribe, I also think it's a good fit for her. Like, she's not the strongest, biggest person on the tribe. She's definitely not the weakest. She's not maybe the most recent player you'd think of as like a strategy beast, but she's very good at strategy. She's kind of blending in really well, excellent at everything.
yeah,
For sure.
I feel like she breaks the mold of the mother in so many ways, because we've seen mothers also make it to the end, but I feel like they have way less win equity than Chrissy did. Like, Chrissy had win equity at the end of HHH. She was just sadly up against Ben, who made more of a show for the jury. So
yeah.
But yeah. All right. So then moving on to the 3 from David versus Goliath. So let's start with Jacket Gate herself. Let's start with Angelina. And Angelina, I think, is going to be seen as chaotic by some. I guess Colby has already been targeting her in the preseason, and she's targeting him right back. I think she's also going to probably be seen as less of a threat, because I think people saw her as kind of a joke in David versus Goliath at the end, because she had burned so many bridges, and like a lot of her strategic moves just didn't land. So what are your guys' thoughts on Angelina?
Same thing to me, you know, big personality that can either, because I mean, you know, I think humor can get you far, or it can blow up in your face, you know. And I think just with her big personality, it could make her an easy early target, or it, like you're saying, people might just dismiss her as being any sort of threat, and then, you know, next thing you know, we're at merge and she's still there.
Yeah, I think if she makes it to the merge again, Angelina could maybe make final tribal again. I think making it past the pre-merge is going to be her hurdle, maybe, but we'll see. Lindsey, what about you?
I think you just nailed it. If Angelina makes it to the merge, like, I think she's solid just to float her way right to the finale. I think she has to get there, and on a tribe of big personalities and a reputation being known as a big personality, I think that's gonna be a difficult way to get there. Like, she Maybe it's not a 50-foot tall ladder for an idol this time, but she has a long road to climb to get to the merge. I think she's smooth sailing should she get there.
No
She
doubt.
got rice for the tribe.
I'm sure we'll learn about that again.
Yeah, I'm sure she's going to tell everyone that she'll get rice for them that keep her. All right, let's talk about our favorite robotic scientist, Christian Hubicki. I think Christian is absolutely going to be seen as the lovable nerd. I think that's going to help carry him through the pre-merge. But I think his reputation is still going to be, we can't let this guy get to the end or he's going to slam dunk win the game. So I'm hopeful for Christian, but I'm also nervous because I can see him going out in around 7th place again.
You go first this time, Lindsey.
Okay, I'm thinking.
I just jump in all the time, so I don't want to keep jumping in every time.
Good. I'm going back and forth because I love Christian and what I think he has going for him that maybe not a lot of other, some of these players we'll talk about also have this going for him, but what he especially has going for him is casual fans love him. And
yes.
He's playing on a tribe of super fans. So they love him too. I wonder if they realize how much his reputation has hit the casuals. Like, for example, my husband watches Survivor on and off with me. This Christian is the only player he can name and talk about, and he'll go back to Christian's challenge for talking for 5 hours and, standing up in 37. And my husband cannot tell you that about any other person on the cast. So I think Christian, yes, he's a threat. I'm curious how much everyone around him knows his reputation a threat to the casual viewers since they're all super fans.
I think they probably will. I think they probably. I think the people on David versus Goliath knew that Christian was going to be a fan favorite. I think Angelina even says it in somewhere in the season of everybody's going to love this guy. So
it's possible not to.
Right. He's one of us.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of interesting that from the 3 players from season 37, there's one on each tribe.
Yes.
So I would think that was by design. Christian, y'all already said it. He's kind of the lovable genius. But if he can find his Gabby in this game, he might be able, you know what I mean? Become the puppet master and use that person to be kind of, to make the moves where he can kind of lay low, if you will. But yeah, who's not going to love Christian?
Oh my gosh. The brains of Cirie and Christian and also Emily Flippen on the same tribe coming up we'll talk about might be crazy. Rick Devens, you might have some Gabbies there. Not
some intellectual people to bounce ideas off of. Yeah, I agree. And our last David versus Goliath rep is Mike White, of course, and 2 words for his reputation, White Lotus. And literally that's going to be what everybody is thinking about of can I get a cameo in White Lotus season 4 or can we vote this guy out because he's going to attract numbers?
I think the type of game that he plays should play very well in this game because he's really a subtle relationship builder. And he, the type of person that can use others to make moves that they think that it's their idea, but he's the one that's planted the seed and he's built the relationships. To me, that's one of the most dangerous types of players. And he definitely has that ability to play that type of game with this cast.
Yeah, I think Mike White's game in David versus Goliath is kind of underrated because he was never really a target and he was able to throw the target on everybody else. He could do it again here, but I don't know. I think with this cast is going to be difficult. I don't think they're letting him get that far again, unfortunately. But
yeah,
I could see that happening, but we've also seen Mike White on The Amazing Race before he was on Survivor, and that was never even brought up. And he played The Amazing Race the same way he played Survivor. He was so well liked by his cast.
Yeah.
Everybody liked him. So hopefully that's going to work for him. But honestly, I would probably vote him out really quickly because I don't want to deal with the White Locust drama.
Yeah. I mean, just the fact that he has not just Angelina and Christian, but I think those 2, but also just anybody he's even asked to be on the White Lotus. I just think he's going to have that target on him. All right, the last member of the pre-new era, we have Rick Devens, Edge of Extinction, and Rick, I think everybody knows that he's crazy good at finding these idols and he's won challenges. And so I think people will be watching out for Rick Devens. I think they'll probably be keeping one eye open everywhere, because I don't think they're ever going to let Rick Devens slide by. So he's going to have to put in a lot of work here.
Yeah, I think, well, and two, finding idols now is so different than before. I mean, I think it's easier. So we'll see how he does there. And then I'm with him. The main thing I'm interested to see is what level of chaos will he try to create and win, you know? So that's kind of what I'm waiting for. Let's see what he does.
Yeah, I want to see more fake idols with really hilarious reactions of Rick laughing at them.
I mean, you just made me think of, it's an effing stick, not with him, but I mean, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think it's funny.
So, dun dun dun, breaking news. Rick Devens, you need to play the same game over again. I want the chaos. I think you need it because you're a threat. Bring it back.
Yeah.
Philly Irish Idols. This is the only player that I really want to see the same game, maybe more mature, slightly nuanced, but same game. Rick Devens, dun dun dun, new cast over.
Yeah, because I mean, really the only reason he got voted out in the first season when he was voted out fourth is because he got swap screwed. So I mean, like, he could theoretically just play the same game he played the rest of the game after he got back in. So I'm looking forward to it. Rick Devens is one of my most anticipated members of the cast. I was so excited to see him back finally, because it feels like it's been a long time coming of like, when is Rick Devens going to be back?
Yeah.
Him is repeatable. At least it's one of the few reputations that seem repeatable.
Yeah. All right, we're in the new era, much like our rewatch is going. But we get to go to Survivor 42, and Jonathan Yun, one of the biggest physical players the game has ever seen, literally looks like Thor. And I've met Jonathan in person. He is a mountain of a man. And I'm excited to watch Jonathan, but I think people are gonna know that they can keep Jonathan around for the challenges, but they got to get rid of him as soon as they can, because otherwise that guy is gonna win quite a few challenges. I think some of the new era challenges actually benefit someone like Jonathan. Yeah.
I think on the Kahlo tribe, because to me they don't look as stacked from a physical challenge aspect, that makes him more valuable. But I'm with you. I think if he finds himself in a situation to where there's other guys that can help, other guys, meaning guys and girls, I'm not being sexist or anything, other people, I don't want to get canceled on the Tribe of Nerds podcast.
Dang it, Bobby.
Well, I forgot the whole Jeff thing. Like, come on in, guys. So I forgot about that. Anyway, if Jonathan finds himself in a situation where there are other players that are good in challenges, he might be somebody that people say, hey, let's strike if there's an opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Lindsey?
So Jonathan is known for being very strong. Like, you cannot look at him or watch 42 and not see that one challenge where he literally dragged people out of the ocean.
Yeah.
Tribes had to be reset. Like, you cannot think of him and his reputation and not acknowledge that. I think what's slightly missing from his reputation is he's also a really loyal player.
Yes.
Like, worked very well with his original tribe on 42. And looking at who he's with, Chrissy was mostly loyal in her season. Coach, Dragon Slayer is already super loyal. And if they need him for strength, and he also has the reputation of being loyal, I could see Jonathan going really far, given the tribe he's on, and those are the two things he's remembered for.
Yeah, Coach is going to want to adopt Jonathan into the Warriors Alliance, like 100%. See, Jonathan wasn't even just loyal to his original tribe. He was loyal to his ride or die, which was Mike Turner. Like, those two worked so well together the entire time when they merged. And, like, he needs to find his Mike in this season.
I think he is going to find his Mike in Mike White. That's what I was about to say. I think Mike White is going to connect with Jonathan early.
I could see it. I think Mike and Coach definitely are the people that Jonathan will draw closer to. All right. Then skipping ahead to Survivor 45, let's talk about Emily Flippen, financial analyst. And Emily Flippen, I mean, I think people will remember her redemption arc of like starting out really badly having just rewatched that and seen how she was going to be the first boot of the season if Hannah didn't quit the game. And then all of a sudden she has this redemption arc, becomes this massive strategist, and gets idled out of the game. I think people are going to remember that. And I honestly think it might endear her to people. Like, I honestly think people are going to be excited to play with the Emily that ended 45 where she was at.
If she starts 50 the way she finished 45,
Yes.
she is, to me, a very, very dangerous player and somebody that you should keep your eye on. And that's it. I mean, you said most of it right there. She started her season so horribly. I couldn't stand her. And then, but she, I mean, to her credit, she turned it around and like became very socially aware, and it was like night and day.
Yeah, 100%. Lindsey?
Yeah, 100%. Like, you guys just pretty much summed it up. What Emily did is she learned and she adapted, which is the scariest thing you can do in any game of Survivor, especially on the new era, to adapt. So I say we just watch out for Emily.
Yeah, I would say her biggest mistake when it got down to it was telling everybody that she masterminded Bruce's blind side. Like, that was what she did wrong. If she hadn't done that, Emily could have gone even further, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing Emily Flippen 2.0, even though it seems that they don't want to advertise her as much, which I don't know if that's a good sign or not, but we'll see.
Well, advertise you, Emily.
And then, of course, the winner of 45, another person that I've gotten to meet, D. And D is one of those dominant winners of all time, in my opinion. I mean, she ran 45. Like, she got a loyal alliance, was able to ride it till she had the opportunity to make a move and get rid of Drew, and then was able to take her ride or die Austin to the end and beat him and like convince him that he could stand a chance against her. And I think D is just like an all-around really good player. I think she strategically understands the game. She connects with people really well, and she's great at challenges. Like, she's a triple threat, and I think people unfortunately realize that, but I almost feel like D is going to be able to figure out a way to get through that somehow to make it somewhat deep.
You go, Lindsey.
Yeah, I was thinking out loud. I was thinking here. So at first glance, D is such a threat, right? Like, she scares you because she's good at everything. But then you think if you're on her tribe and you're playing the season with her, she was really loyal to her alliance. She took them as far as she could. Like, that is actually, I think, more her legacy, that and her challenge dominance, than her, maybe slightly betraying Drew toward the end. She did what she had to do win, but she's loyal until she had to, and she's dominant the whole time. So why wouldn't you want to work with her?
Right. If you're in her alliance, she can take you through. Bobby, what about you? Okay. Your thoughts on D?
Here's one hot take, a prediction.
Ooh.
D and Ozzy are going to hook up in season 50.
Ooh.
He saw her on the challenge. She hooked up with Johnny Bananas on the challenge. So, now I'm a fan of D, but if you look at the tribe that she's on, she could find herself in danger early, because if she just lays back, maybe not, but if she's the one trying to put anything together, like maybe put a target on Coach or Mike White or anything like that, I think it could backfire on her. She's not playing with a bunch of people, to me, that don't know how to play the game, that just, she can just manipulate and get them to do whatever she wants. So it's going to be a totally different type of game. So if she adapts her game, then I think it's better for her. But she's going to be like, she's one of 3 winners. There's an automatic target. And, people are going to use anything that they can to put a target on people early. And I think the 3 former winners, Cirie and Ozzy, are going to be the 5 people that I think have the biggest early targets on them.
Yeah, I could see it. I just almost think D's somehow going to make it out, but like, I'm also like preparing myself that we're probably going to see an early torch snuff too.
Yeah.
So
we're going to see it. I'm going to add to the other people that are threats, because I agree with you. The ones you named, Bobby, they're threats. I'll say anyone that's played 3 seasons are 3 people from the same season. So anyone from 37 or from 46, like 3 people from one season, I think also get a little bit threats on them too, with the people you already named.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
Great point.
37, 46, 48. Yeah. Well, speaking of 46, let's head to 46 now. Let's talk about the big mistake, the elephant in the room. Let's talk about Q. And Q, I think, is going to be pre-merge because I think his reputation is that he's chaotic, a massive wild card, and nobody should trust this guy because he's going to target people for really weird things. Like, he's already done it in preseason. And yeah, he might be an asset in some of the early challenges, but I think people would be willing to cut Q loose just to get rid of like the noise in the camp.
I have a different take, Jake. Ooh, that rhymed. I think because Q is a different player than he was in 46. He's now a father.
That's true.
As a little, 1-year-old baby. Fatherhood changes you as a person, and Q is very, very smart. He's somebody that I say no outside of the game. We've had multiple conversations. I'm in real estate. He's in real estate. We've talked. We've had multiple conversations. He is somebody that I think he's going to adapt his game. I think he's smart enough. I don't think he's typecast into this is who he is. I think there's a lot of things now could be wrong, but I think he's going to do great in challenges. I think he and Colby are going to form an early connection as two guys that are going to do really well in challenges. And I would not be surprised to see Q tone it down. And next thing you know, we are at merge and he's still in the game. But I mean, who knows?
Yeah, he has to tone it down, otherwise he's not going to make it there. But if he does, then I'm willing to be pleasantly surprised by Q. So,
and we'll see if they cancel Christmas or not.
Cancel Christmas. I'm nervous for Q. I can see him being changed as a father, especially if he tones it down. But speaking to the fatherhood and that changing things, like Angelina and Aubry are both have young children too.
Right.
So maybe that's something all three of them could bond over, and maybe they'll just like be their new reputations, like watch us play 2.0 or 3.0. Like, this is how we do it now.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be shocking if Q and Aubry actually made an alliance?
I would actually love that.
That'd be crazy. All right, and then next up from 46, let's talk about Stephenie. And Stephenie is one of those that's like, you get this every all-star season, returning season, of like the person that's like, why are they here? And like, I like Stephenie in 46. I thought she was a pretty solid player, but obviously she gets misted by Q, and she gets completely blindsided with an idol in her pocket. I do think she has a lot to prove because of that. And again, I do think she is probably someone with her low profile going in that she's probably going to make merge again.
Yeah, I think she's good at reading people, and I think she's good at being in the right conversations. And I think those are her strengths. And her and Charlie are both on, like that, one of the few situations, I mean, Cirie and Ozzy, but I mean, in the new era players, this may be the only duo from the same season that's on the same tribe. I don't know. Maybe I might have missed something somewhere, but yeah.
Yeah, I think you're correct.
I think they are, and I think it's also the best duo to play together of anyone we've discussed or on the cast, because if Q was in either Charlie or Stephenie's spot, I don't know if it'd work the same, but I think given the two of them together, and we'll talk about Charlie in just a moment, that can actually be something that works for Stephenie. Like, yes, it sucks she went out with the idol. No one wants to go home with an idol in her pocket, so she has a lot to prove. And I'm hoping that she will come in and do that. Like, watch her be the new era Kelly Wentworth. I would love that for Stephenie.
Yeah. I mean, we've gotten Parvati has done well after like people didn't see her as a threat from Cook Islands. Obviously, Amber won All Stars. Kelly Wentworth, like these under the radar like women who come back generally tend to win or at least do very well. So. All right, and then let's talk about Charlie. And Charlie is actually one of my favorites. I really do like him in 46. And I'm worried for Charlie though, because he got so close, like almost as close as you can get to winning without winning. And obviously, unfortunately, Maria did not vote for him to win. And I think that's a big chip on his shoulder, and I think that's something he's going to carry in here. for better or for worse. I'm very concerned for Charlie because I think people are going to see him as a strategist, and I don't know that's something he can shake off.
I think for him, the biggest challenge is going to be not thinking too far ahead and just kind of staying in the moment. Now, I get it. You can't, the best players think 3 steps ahead, but if he can just kind of stay in that window and not think too far ahead and just kind of, see where the game, because I think this game is going to change literally from week to week, and on the island from, day to day. I think this game is just going to evolve and change. But I think if he can stay more in the moment, I think he'll do well because there are so many other like big personalities, players with bigger reputations, that he's somebody that we may forget about. And then next thing you know what I mean? We're at Final 7 and he's still there.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to see Charlie get that far again, but I'm definitely worried. Lindsey, what about you?
I like to see Charlie make the Final 7. I don't think he's going to. I feel like he's right before the merge or right after the merge, just because he's such a big presence from the new era. He's gone on a lot of interviews or talked on the show how he tried to practice his group strength or how he's graduated from law school. So he's just very well known in the community. So I don't think he can blend forever, and eventually it's going to put a target on his back. So that's where I have him, right before, right after the merge.
I think that's probably likely placements for him. How many Taylor Swift references are we going to get?
Who knows?
Will we get another battle of like the bands like we had with Charlie and Ben in season 46? Like,
it's definitely possible.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't even think about it till you just said that, but Taylor Swift has her whole Reputation album. Isn't that the theme for our podcast? Did we accidentally do it for Charlie and for Taylor?
We accidentally did it for Charlie. Oh my God. Shout out.
No
all
bad
right.
blood, Charlie. I hope you do better than post the merge.
All right. Moving on. Survivor 47, Genevieve. And like Genevieve was someone who, speaking of women who are kind of under the radar, she started that way in 3 episodes. All of a sudden, episode 4, Genevieve emerges as the super strategist, blindsides Keyshawn, and then we get this like player that's kind of struggling with her emotions and trying to play the game. She takes out Saul, and then she's part of one of the craziest moves in Survivor history with Operation Italy. And then unfortunately she's taken out right before the end. I am interested to see how Genevieve does this time. I think kind of her arc of dealing with the game and her emotions, I wonder how that's going to go for her this time.
I have a really, really bad gut feeling for Genevieve. I think she's a fantastic player, and I'm willing to say right now, I think she's going to eventually win Survivor. Like, I have that much confidence in her. I don't think this is her season. I think she has too much heat coming off of 47. I think we're going to see her flop. I think it might be close to Tony on Survivor 34. And we're going to come back and see Genevieve do really well her 3rd time. And I think she will actually win the game eventually, just not now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Bobby?
I think what works in her favor is just she's used to the faster pace of the new era game, and like where it's weird, man. It's just, this game is weird. You see games where like alliances that stick together, like in 48, where they, 5 people stay together basically the whole game. But then you see, other games where like there aren't any alliances. Like it's, I would almost call them voting blocks. And so I think she has, she's definitely a player that has the ability to shift quickly and pivot quickly. And I think that gives her an advantage over some of the older players that are, again, used to the longer, slower game.
Yeah, I think Genevieve could be one to like flip-flop between different alliances and not just ride one to the end. That's kind of how we saw her play 47. And I always saw her in 47 as like the new era Kim Spradlin almost. Like she had the potential to get to that level of Kim. If she made it to the end of 47, I do think she wins, but I just fell short. All right, 48, we're almost there, and I think let's start off with Joe Hunter. Joe is absolutely going to be like the honor and integrity. I think he's going to be someone who's useful in challenges, and I think people are going to want to trust him and work with him because of how they saw him play in 48. I think Joe is like the Lee Carseldine from Australian Survivor, where like I think that game is going to absolutely benefit him. I think Joe is definitely making merge. I honestly could see him making it to final tribal council again. Like, unless something crazy happens. I just think that type of player can usually get very far.
I like Joe, and he's definitely a challenge beast. This is where I mean, again, you never know how, like, whether you get swap screwed or anything like that. So there's a lot of variables that can factor into this. But I think Joe's loyalty is going to bite him in the butt in this game, because I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see him get blindside pre-merge. I think people are going to use him definitely because they know he's a loyal player and he's good in challenges. They're going to use him, but at some point, I think he's somebody that people are not going to want to let him get to the end, and he's going to play. I just can see him placing his trust in like total loyalty in somebody that's going to turn around and stab him in the back. Because again, you're not playing with, the little, kumbaya game and everything.
Right. I mean, because we saw that happen in 48, where he put his trust in Kyle and Camilla and then took out Shaheen for them, and that didn't work in his favor. So
yeah,
absolutely could end that way. Lindsey?
Yeah, I'm just looking at his tribe and who he's starting with, and we'll see what happens. Should he make a swap and should he make a merge? And I think they're going to want to use him for his loyalty for a while. Like, I don't see Devens or Cirie or Emily, even maybe Savannah or Christian, most of them see a reason to vote him out unless he's targeting them. So unless Joe plays a very different game than we know from his reputation or what we saw in 48, I at least say him making the merge. Maybe he gets blindsided somewhere along the way because he is a little bit too loyal to people on his tribe. But I don't see him going first in the first couple of rounds. Like, I think he definitely has time to get his footing and see what Joe does this time around.
Yeah.
Because you have to think about it, winning Survivor 50, that's like a huge deal. So, like, I think we're going to see people that may not have been cutthroat be cutthroat and do things out of character, but not Joe. And I think that's one of the things that might bite him in the butt, so to speak.
I think you said it perfectly right there. No notes.
Yeah. For sure. All right. I want to talk about these two as a pair because that's how they played 48. Camilla and Kyle. For Camilla, I think that she is most hurt by Kyle being here. If Kyle wasn't here, I think Camilla is going to do a lot better in this season. I think she said it in the preseason press of like, why is Kyle here? I would rather come back for like 53 or something if I knew Kyle was going to be there. And then for Kyle, I thought he was a really good winner of 48, and that he broke like the norm of what that season was setting itself up to be, of like the honor and integrity. And then him and Camilla like strategically controlled that game, and then he won. I am definitely nervous for Kyle early on because he is the most recently seen winner because they just watched him win the game. So
I think I'm thankful for Kyle and Camilla. If not, without them playing the game the way they did, I think 48 was like a very boring season.
Yeah.
She's like, I think Kyle being in the game helps Camilla greatly because the focus is going to be on Kyle, the lawyer, you know what I mean, the winner. And I almost felt like she kind of sacrificed her own game. She's the one that really kind of boosted Kyle to the win. She's definitely not going to do that this time.
Oh, 100% not. Even from meeting her and talking to her at last Celebrity Weekend, I think she wanted to play a different game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. You can get pigeonholed. You know what I mean? You can put yourself in a situation that it's hard to get out of. It's like, you know what I mean? Where you know that you're not going to win, but you just do what you have to do to make it as far as you can, knowing that you're not going to win.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, for the trio we have from 48, like Joe is maybe the most dependable player. To me, Camilla is the most adaptable. So I want to see how she does in this season. And I think she's smart. She's intelligent. She knows what her mistakes were. And I think we're going to see it. And I just worry that both her and Kyle, unlike Joe, have the negative persona of we just watch all three of them play. And now we're flying off for 50. And Joe gets a little bit like, oh, I like to work with Joe. I'm worried about Kyle and Camilla. If they just watch the two of them run to the end, being the most entertaining players of the season, the most dynamic duo, if it's gonna come back and bite them, I hope not. But I give Kyle a little bit less chance than Camilla. I think Camilla might be more adaptable.
Yeah, I think Camilla will be. I worry for both of them, but yeah, I'd love to see Camilla do better than Kyle this season. Saying that, even though like I'm interested to see what Kyle does this time too.
Yeah.
All right, 49 back-to-back seasons. We know from Survivor history that we've had a ton of back-to-back players. We know we've had Russell, Malcolm, Rupert, James, Amanda, Zeke, Michaela. Like we've had all these people that went from one season right into the next, and we have that with Savannah and Riz God. So let's talk about Savannah first, the winner of 49. So nobody saw 49, but it appears that people know that Savannah just won. She said it in her preseason press, so I find that interesting. I don't know if Rizzo said something or if I don't know. That is weird to me that people seem to know that she's won. And I don't know, maybe she is the one to come clean. But I don't know. I feel like out of the two of them coming right back, I think Savannah is going to have a lot of work cut out for her to do well again.
I agree, and I want to talk about Savannah first. I mostly want to hand the mic over to the two of you to talk about the Riz God as their final player. So to quickly emphasize, like Savannah, I think people assume she won because of her tribe placement, and they already knew that Dee and Kyle had won the previous season.
That's true.
She's gonna have a huge target on her back just coming in for that. And also looking at the tribe that she's on, there's a lot of characters. There's a lot of mixed personalities. I'm worried that Savannah's gonna have a really rough go. I'm cheering for her. I think she's one of the closest winners we've gotten to kind of a villain in a long time, which is always fun. She was a dominant winner. I just think she has a huge road ahead for her. Angelina's idol might have been 50 feet up. I think Savannah is 100 feet up to climb.
Yeah, that's probably accurate. Bobby, what are your thoughts on Savannah?
I think so. I know a lot of people that were not fans of Savannah. My wife being one of them. I was a fan of Savannah almost the whole game. I think she's probably to me she's one of the few, if not the only person in 49 to me that really played the game. Well-rounded, social, strategic, physical. She played the game, and that's why she won. She is super smart. Because if you think about early in 49, her name was being thrown around. Yeah. And so she's able to navigate around that and all the way to the end and win. So I wouldn't necessarily I think like on her tribe right now, I mean, if they go to tribal early, like I said, outside of Jenna, she may find herself in trouble. It just depends who she aligns with early. But again, that's the wild card in all of this, like how things play out once they swap and once what kind of twists and things are there going to be in this game. But she's shown that she can come out from, take the target off her back and play a game and, win when she needs to and do what she has to do. So I don't know. It's going to be, she's either going to be an early boot or she's going to go very late. I don't see her being a mid-game boot.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I am wondering because I think it's going to be interesting to have her play with Dee if she gets to, and Chrissy, because as a winner, I feel like they have some similarities, and then Chrissy being the other woman that has won 4 immunities, like I think that's going to be interesting if she gets to interact with either of them.
Yeah, for sure.
So. All right, let's talk about our final player, the man, the myth, the legend, RIZ, GOD, the Riz God baby. I am a Riz God fan. I think he is a dynamic player, one of the most dynamic that we've seen in a while. I mean, nobody's ever bluffed an idol that many times in a row. I think I think people are very sketched out because I think they probably see some Russell in Rizzo. Like I think Coach mentioned it. I think a couple other players mentioned it. So I'm worried for Rizzo, but I also just want to see this kid go far again. I want to see him cause some chaos and call himself the Riz God over and over again because I think he's just so entertaining.
I have a slightly different take, Jake.
I wouldn't have thought that at all, Bobby.
I'm going to say the Riz Not. I'm going to call him the Riz Not. He is okay. Probably in real life, he is probably a very likable guy. Okay, so this is not. I'm not anti Rizzo or anything like that, but just in the context of playing Survivor, I think he's a horrible player. I think he got lucky. I think he got lucky that he's playing with a bunch of people that don't know what they're doing. If he wasn't aligned with Savannah early, he would not have made it as far as he did. That's just my take. He bluffing in idols many times as he did. You try some mess like that with players that have played the game before, they're not going. You won't make it probably one more round. If you look on the Vatu tribe, he's probably outside of maybe Aubry, Angelina, maybe he's like definitely in the bottom of the pack when it comes to being able to contribute in challenges. He's just not good at challenges. I think I could probably beat Rizzo in most challenges, and I'm 59. So he could find himself in trouble early if they lose, unless somebody brings him into, if you have a Q Kyle Colby challenge beast alliance and they bring in somebody like Rizzo, okay, that could happen, but he's not going to be able to play the game that he played in the last game. And that, to me, is just more attributed to a lot of the new school players, new era players that just don't know how to play Survivor. So that's my mild take on Rizzo.
I am going to say I do agree with the fact that there are people in the new era that don't understand how to play Survivor. Like, I do think there were definitely people in 49 that absolutely kept making bad moves in spite of that. And I also do think Rizzo has to try some other stuff from his bag of tricks. I don't think he can bluff idols again.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to do something else crazy. So I want to see him be a chaos gremlin again. So
we'll see. Yeah. Like, why would they not flush his idol? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it makes no sense. And that's not his fault. It's their fault for not knowing how to play the game. But anyway, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Lindsey, your thoughts on the Riz God?
I'm going to give a medium in between both of your takes for that one. I did not want to cheer for the Riz God going into 49. I was like, I'm never going to say that word out loud. You're kidding me. But he endeared me over the season. I was cheering for him by the end, despite some of his really silly and chaotic moves, like Chaos Gremlin. That's a fair point. And I'm just curious if it comes to like Angelina and Aubry being a new mom, Stephenie being a well-established mom, especially with boys, with the Riz God being the youngest player on this season, if perhaps he won't endear to the parents a little bit.
Yeah, I can see him being like the young son to some of the moms. So I could honestly see him and Stephenie pairing up just because of that. So that's my hope for him.
Yeah. And I'm not like in this game, I'm not hating on, like, if he makes it far, awesome for him. But I wasn't a fan of his game in 49, but a huge fan of Savannah's game. So let me ask y'all a question, Jake. Who's one player from Survivor history that you wish would have been in 50?
Malcolm. I'm a huge Malcolm fan. I think that it's like absolute tragedy that we're not seeing a player from the 20s, and Malcolm, I think, represents that era of the show extremely well. And I think after what happened in Game Changers, I think he deserved one more shot because that his game ended so prematurely. And so I'm just shocked that Malcolm's not here, to be honest.
Yeah. What about you, Lindsey?
That's hard to answer because Malcolm is a good one, but my answer is pretty much everywhere. So I want to follow it up with a secondary answer. I want to shout out to my girl, Jerry Manthe, for knowing I'm such a huge fan and being nice and message me right before she put out her post that she wasn't playing because she knew I was cheering for her so much. So Jerry, Thank you for telling me first. I was heartbroken with you, and the world was heartbroken with you the next day. But since that's probably a universal answer, I'm going to go with the more villainous, and I kind of want to see Abby Maria back just for the chaos.
Oh. Hey, so she's the one that I was referencing earlier in the podcast about talking about how she got cast. She was really like genuinely hurt that she got cast as a villain.
Mm-hmm.
So that would have been a good choice.
I'd love to see her.
And I had the chance to meet Jerry in Galveston last year. For me, it would be okay. I have two. This is gonna be such a wide Richard Hatch.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see the original OG, and then Jam Jam.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that would have had, because I would really like to see how he would have played his game. So, and Jam Jam's, he's amazing. So, but anyway, I'm just.
Those are good choices.
Yeah, I agree. I think at least we got to see Jam Jam play Traitors a little bit. But I would have liked to see him play Survivor, because I do think like Jam Jam's skill set is way better tailored to Survivor than it is to the Traitors.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe I wouldn't mind to see Parvati too. I don't count the Australia versus the world win as a true win. It's just so short. I mean, it just does, and to me it doesn't count. So
I'd watch Parvati play anything or do anything. So if she ever wants to grace her TV screens again, I like 100%. Even if it's a new show, I'm a fan, Parv. I'm cheering for you.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. No, I think Savannah kind of has a Parvati vibe, minus trying to use her female prowess, on the guys. But to me, they have some similarities to the other aspects of their game.
Yeah. I was just
Oh, go ahead, Jake.
I was just gonna say we better watch out for the Parvati stands online that are gonna now come for us, because you just said like Jeff Probst and Jeremy Collins, like she didn't deserve to be like, or she shouldn't have won.
That's hey, I just don't. It's an asterisk. I'll put an asterisk by it. It's like
Yeah, her book is fine if everybody wants to read that. I need to reread it. It's been a while, but I really enjoyed her book. Speaking of Survivor books, Stephen Fishback's book is out. It's really good. I finished it. Recommend. And last honorable mention, since you mentioned Jam Jam from the new era, I think we could have used some 41 through 49, like second and third and fourth placers. So I was the honorable mention throwing Mike Turner.
Yes, Mike. We would love to see Mike play again. Friend of the show, and so I think Mike would have been great. See other honorable mentions. I mean, I think Andy would have been an interesting character to see one more time. I think there's quite a few people you could. I think we needed more 20s representation as well.
Yeah.
So I think Spencer might have been interesting. Again, get Kagi on, because again a tragedy that season isn't represented, because it was like one of the best seasons of all time, and they really loved showing players from that at one time in Survivor history. So
even having a play like Yule, I would have been curious.
Yule would have been great.
Yule, he'd be fantastic. You're right. Anyone from Kage-on, give me Trish, give me Morgan, give me anybody. Let's catch me up what they've been doing the last 10 plus years.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you earlier, Lindsey. Was that your point that you wanted to make earlier?
Oh yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, cool. Thanks so much, Bobby, for joining us. This was fun.
My pleasure.
Players' reputations.
So I enjoyed it. It was I had a really good time, and great seeing you again, Lindsey.
Missed you, Bobby.
Anytime. All right, with that, subscribe, like, share, comment, and we'll see you all next time for more Survivor 50 next week on the Tribe of Nerds.